Jars of juice to get clean. Jars of juice to get clean now, baby. Jars of juice to get clean. Jars of juice to get fresh. Jars of juice to get fresh now, baby. Jars of juice to get fresh. Oh yeah. Jars of juice to get energized. Jars of juice to get energized, baby. Jars of juice to get energized.
All right, guys. So that was our special juicing intro. I couldn't do anything about juicing without playing that video in the background at some point. That is my favorite juicer in the whole world, DTM, Dan the Man. He's the Life Regenerator on YouTube. He has an awesome channel about juicing. And he's just a big goofball. And he did that video several years ago, just having a good time and rapping about juicing. And I think it's hilarious. So I had to play that to get us started here tonight. And of course, you know, we've got our little sample display. And because we had a great football weekend this weekend, we're repping our Tigers and our Hoodats in the back there. Original artwork by my daddy. So I got to give him a shout out too. So tonight we're talking all about juicing. So I'm really excited about this episode, and I know that a lot of you are too. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about it, and you know, sending in some questions and stuff. So we're really excited to get this one going.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that we're going to talk about, first of all, is juicing good? Like, this is the general overall question that we get a lot of times from our clients or potential clients. If they see something, there's a lot of buzz about juicing going on right now, but it's nothing new. Juicing has been around for a really long time. I know I kind of think of Jack LaLanne as like the godfather of juicing. He may not have been the first person to do it, but he definitely made it extremely popular. And there's been lots of juicing going on since then. But every so often, you know how the cycles come around, the seasons go, and it comes back up and it gets really popular again. And right now, it seems to be really popular. There are a lot of juice cleanses being advertised, juice detoxes, juice diets, and you know, different things like that. It's all over the internet right now. So that's why we wanted to do this video and talk about it. So you can see that we have some juices out here. So clearly we juice, but there's definitely a way to do it. There are times when it's good for you. There's times when it may not be the best thing for you. So that's what we're going to address here tonight. So the first thing is juicing good for fat loss? Because that's the biggest thing that's being promoted right now is juice cleanses, juice detoxes, like 7-day juice fasting and things like that. And people claim miraculous weight loss. And you will get, usually, some really good weight loss if you're doing like a juice fast. But for the most part, that's just because you're in calorie deprivation. If you're used to eating normal plates of food, if you're used to eating out at restaurants or eating fast food or just eating a standard American diet, and then you switch to only drinking juices for 7 days, of course, you're going to be in a severe calorie deficit. So that's why you're going to lose weight initially. Now, of course, you can't sustain a juice fast. I won't say can't, because there are some juicers out there who just drink nothing but juice. But for the most part, that's not our audience. I know that's not who's watching tonight. We don't have a bunch of raw vegan juicers, you know, tuning in. So it's regular, everyday people who are interested in incorporating juices, or maybe are wondering if they should try a juice fast. Juicing is definitely can be healthy, but it's not our advice for weight loss in general. And that's because a lot of people will do it incorrectly, or if they start juice for weight loss, and like I said, you will lose weight because you're in calorie deprivation. But for the most part, most people, if I put these two juices in front of them, they're going to choose this juice because, and it's not shaken up, that's why it's separated, but it's pink and it's pretty, and people will drink that one. And the reason it's pink and pretty is because it has fruit in it. And fruit is healthy for you, but it's not a fat loss food, and especially concentrated in this form, this is a ton of sugar.
One of the things I think people make the mistake of doing is that when they do a juice cleanse or a juice fast or whatever it may be, and they do a lot of juices, but it's predominantly fruit. So their juice isn't green. It's not any shade that resembles green. They don't have a lot of spinach and cucumber and parsley and kale and things like that in the juice. They have a lot of, mango and strawberries and pineapple and oranges and all that type of stuff. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But if you're doing that plus you're eating normal whole food as well, the amount of sugar that you're getting from the fruit in this is going to elevate your blood sugar really high. It's going to reduce down your fat burning hormones. And that's probably the number one thing that people do that they make the mistake of doing, especially having a big fruit smoothie first thing in the morning. When your body is in a state where it wants to burn body fat, I think if you were going to choose one of these two things first thing in the morning, you would want this. You agree?
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I think Fraser made a great point in saying that, people will have something like this in addition to their normal diet because they're trying to add in something healthy, which is a good way to start. Add in something healthy on top of, your normal routine. But when you do that, and you're adding in one of these instead of this green one, you're going to be adding a lot of sugars even on top of your normal diet, and it could make you gain weight even.
I mean, you may be eating a little bit healthier than you normally do, but if this was full, I don't know how many grams in this. There could be, 2, 3, 4, 500 grams of sugar, depending on what type of fruit it was. So you have to understand that when you are juicing, if you want to juice and have a whole food diet and you want to achieve fat loss as your primary goal, so fat loss being your primary goal, then you need to focus on, sorry, I'm just getting over a cold, so I've actually been using a lot of these, but you need to focus on vegetable juicing more than fruit juicing itself. There's nothing wrong with the combination of the two, and that's quite often what we do. But very often people don't like this. This is unappealing, it's bright green. It doesn't, for a lot of people, it doesn't necessarily taste the best to someone who hasn't developed a taste for this yet. So they go to this one. And this one can actually make you gain body fat if you're not careful.
Yeah. So let's start with someone who's asking about juicing, particularly the cleanses. So let's start with the cleanses first. I think cleanses can be good, but they have to be done in the right context. You don't want to use a cleanse or a detox as, first of all, you don't want to use it as a long-term weight loss tool. And second of all, you don't want to use it as a clutch. You don't want to get to where you just binge, and then you're like, oh, it's okay because I'm going to do a detox and I'm going to juice for 5 days straight, and then on the weekend I'm gonna do a 2-day stuff my face, binge fest. So in that case, it's not helpful. And I don't necessarily recommend the juicing, detoxes, and cleanses, but like we have integrated is a daily juicing habit. And I think that is a healthy approach to juicing where you're incorporating it and you can play with the different, flavors and different ingredients, but you're having, typically I'll have one of these, and these are large jars. These are like 32 ounces. And I could have one of these for lunch, and that's enough for me. It really is a lot when you drink this whole big jar of it. So, and then for my other 2 meals, I'll have, whole food, healthy meals. So that leads me into another question would be, what about the fiber? That's probably one of the most common questions surrounding juicing is, well, if you're juicing, what about the fiber? And because that's one of the reasons why we stress as well that maybe only juicing is not the best approach.
Yeah.
Because you do want to have some fiber in your diet. Now, like I said, most of our audience watching are not like raw vegan juicers or fruitarians or only juicing. So you're having other meals, so you're likely going to get lots of other fiber there. And hopefully, you have good sources of fiber elsewhere in your diet, like you're eating raw salads and vegetables and things like that. So you will get fiber elsewhere in your diet. Also, like Fraser was pointing to, you can use the NutriBullet. So this is another tool that we use. This doesn't make juice that runs as quite as thin and clear as this, but it's kind of the in between a blender and a juicer. So this works super awesome because it has the single serve little thing on top here. I didn't put it on to block Fraser's face, but it just has a little single serve blender cup. And you just twist it and it blends. You chunk all of your fruits and vegetables in there whole, and it blends it up to pretty close to the consistency of these. It has a little bit of pulp to it, but even if you wanted to strain it, you could even do that. But then again, you're taking out the fiber. So this is the best way to do it if you want to leave the fiber in.
Yeah, a lot of people have a bad experience when juicing because they use a blender. And the blender, it's horrible. It's thick.
Unless you have a $500 blend tech or
most people just use like generic low grade blenders, and it makes it horrible, and that's why it's so unappealing. So if cost is a barrier, and you're not at the stage where you want to spend $200 or $300, $400, $500 on a juicer and have to go through that whole process, a NutriBullet I think is about $100.
But or even $80 now we see them, and they're making different models, so there are some different ones that may be more expensive and less expensive. This one, when we purchased it, was $99, and we got it at Bed Bath & Beyond with 20% coupon, so we paid like $80 for it. So for that, you can't beat it.
It's quick and easy. It has the capsule that sits on here, and the blade attaches and it sits in here, and it's literally got 2 parts to it. So it's not like you're washing 50,000 different parts.
Right, it doesn't have all the parts to take apart and wash, and you can just take that cup and go and use that as your cup. So that being said on that, anything else that we want to say about fiber?
Yeah, I would say, if you are doing a juice fast and you're doing legitimate stuff that's had the fiber extracted, if we will, like we were saying, we always encourage you to eat some whole food as well. But if you're not, you could always supplement it with psyllium husk or some form of fiber to help aid your digestion. You just don't want to be consuming juice alone. It's not going to keep you full, and you want some of that fiber for healthy bowel movement and digestive aid. So I think psyllium husk with this, if this was the only thing that you were doing, but we would never encourage that anyway. We would always say this is complementary to a whole food diet.
Right, and if you were doing like a short-term juice detox, then you would be just doing the strict juice without the fiber in it, and that's for the purpose of making it easier on your digestive tract, so that you're just absorbing the nutrients and you're not having to do a lot of digestive process. It kind of gives your digestive system a rest, and it's just pumping you with concentrated nutrients. So for that like short-term juice detoxes, that's why you don't want to have the fiber in it. It's just because you don't want to have the extra digestive stress. But that, again, that's just short term and would be fine if it were, a couple of days. But anything longer than that, I think.
And also, if you are someone that suffers with IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, or digestive issues, you may want to play around with what works best for you. Does juicing with the fiber extracted work better than having it loaded with lots of fiber that your body has to digest? So if you suffer with bloating and digestive issues, and that you have IBS, this could be a better option with the fiber extracted, because then you're not getting tons and tons of fiber running through your system.
Right. All right, so moving from detoxes into dieting and fat loss. So if you're using juicing for dieting and fat loss, it can be, again, it's good and bad, depending on how you choose to use it. So it can be good because you're getting lots of healthy vitamins, minerals, nutrients. Most people would not eat this many vegetables in a day. So if they're really trying to get healthy and they consume this much concentrated vitamins and minerals, it can be really good for them. But on the other hand, to just drink these all day and not eat anything else, and to do that for an extended period of time, for most people, I don't think it is the healthy option. I definitely don't think it's the healthy weight loss option, because your focus is weight loss, and you're only doing it to deprive yourself. You're not actually doing it because you want to be super healthy.
Yeah, and you're not getting, in this, you're getting basically phytonutrients. So you're getting vitamins and minerals, but you're not necessarily getting a large source of carbohydrate, fat, or protein. So it's phytonutrients, it's minerals and vitamins, but it's not a good source of calories. And because of that, you're in a massive calorie deficit. Your protein is very, very low. Probably no protein in this whatsoever. Some carbohydrates in the form of fruit sugars and some vegetable carbohydrate, but no fat either. So you're pretty much only getting one macronutrient out of the three. So it's a very one-dimensional approach, and that's usually why you can only do juice fasting for short periods of time, because the people who create these programs understand that it's not sustainable in the longer term for 99% of the population.
Right. And that's where, again, like your NutriBullet or even a good blender can come in handy, is that you can do, for longer term and for incorporating other macronutrients, you can use like your NutriBullet and your blender, so that you could add in things like fresh coconut, like really get a real coconut, cut it open, get the coconut meat out. You can add that into like your smoothies, because if you're leaving the fiber and it's more like a smoothie, add that in. So there you got some healthy fats. And I have a video also on our YouTube channel, The Bayley Body, that shows how I was making one day I used juice, like this green juice that I had already juiced out with a juicer. It didn't have any fiber in it. And I put this into a blender with some plant-based protein powder. Not soy, so it was hemp, rice, and whey protein. Not whey. Rice, hemp, and what am I missing? Pea protein. It was a combination of those three. So I put this, like you would normally use your milk or water, and then I added in the scoop of the plant-based protein powder with some ice and blended it up. So then I had like a protein shake smoothie / green drink. So that's a really easy, good way to get in those other macronutrients. And
I mean, remember, like, get to this stage here, there's a spectrum. So usually most people are down this end, and this is down this end. And what Lauren was talking about, for some people, could be somewhere maybe here, or maybe somewhere just here. But it takes you time to get to that stage where you may actually enjoy that. But understand that you can begin here, but the end goal is to move down this way more and more.
Yeah.
More often than not. This is nothing wrong with this. This is healthy. But a lot of this is going to create fat gain. A lot of this is going to do nothing but good for you. So.
Right. And even like if you start here, you're going to want to start with smaller amounts, because it's such concentrated forms of sugar. Yeah, you can add water to it so that it's watered down, so it's not quite as concentrated. But you can use larger amounts of this because it's not concentrated with sugar. And the way I recommend to kind of ease yourself into it is to start with something a little bit fruitier, but then sneak some greens into it. I think spinach is probably the best one. If you use baby spinach and you throw it in there, you don't really taste it, and it's really kind of mild flavor, so the fruit is the main thing that you taste. Also things like cucumber, that's another one that's it's really watery, so it'll create a lot of extra juice for you. It's starting to work into I guess it's actually a fruit because it has seeds, but it's kind of along the lines of
in between.
Right. It's kind of in between. It has a mild flavor, so you can mix those things into the fruity ones, and then eventually get greener and greener as you go.
And there's nothing, like we always go back to, like this is fine, but a little side note. When I'm doing this type of thing, if I do this first thing in the morning, this will be my go-to first thing in the morning if I have it first thing in the morning. This would be something I would probably consume after a workout. See, after a workout, I would want fruit sugars to replace the sugar that I burnt, but I wouldn't want this first thing in the morning. So that's just my take on it. That's what we encourage our people to do. And I encourage you, if you are juicing at the moment and you're doing this first thing in the morning, try this first and do this after your workout instead.
Yeah.
Just a little side note for you.
All right, so let's see what other questions we had. Can I use a blender? So we've already kind of addressed that. A blender or a NutriBullet. A Walmart style blender is not going to get it very liquefied. You're going to have lots of pulp, and it's going to be hard to drink. And then a lot of people get turned off of juicing because they think that's what it is, and it's really not. So either spend $500 on a blender if you want to keep the fiber in there, go with a $100 NutriBullet, or do the juicer where it extracts the pulp altogether. Juicer recommendations. Okay, so when I kind of researched about the juicers when we looked into getting one for home, and I had one before, used it on and off, and then we were buying them more recently. So we were spending so much money just buying them. I said, well, let's just go ahead and get a juicer. So when I looked into it, I think the most important thing to know is that there's two main types of juicers. There's the centrifuge juicers and the masticating juices. So the centrifuge style basically spins it really fast. That's the more horizontal looking ones, the ones that you typically will see in people's kitchens, like the Breville juicers and the Jack LaLanne juicers. They're kind of vertical style, and you feed your fruits and veggies through the chute. It kind of spins them around in there, separates the juice and the fiber. So that's the centrifuge juicers. The masticating juicers are the ones that are more horizontal style. That's the one that you will see more professional juicers or people who juice all the time usually will use those. And that's because it actually has a slower process, which, you know, most people would just, if they don't know any better, they would compare it on a website and say, well, this one has a faster horsepower or motor or whatever, so that one must be better. But what it does is that oxidizes your juice more, and that's what causes it to lose nutrients. So the masticating horizontal style juicers are actually better because they're going to keep the nutrition in your juices better and longer. So with something like a, you know, vertical style Jack LaLanne or something like that, you're going to want to juice it and drink it straight away. Whereas with the masticating juicers, they will keep up to like 72 hours without losing much nutrition. And another thing is how much, you know, of course, oxygen. I recommend to fill them. We've already drank some of this one, just we made it today. But if you fill it all the way up to the very top, you have less oxygen sitting in your jar, so it will oxidize more.
Yeah.
So fill it all the way up to the top so that you have less oxidation going on, and that will keep your juice fresher.
Do you want to show them the box?
Yes, I'll show you the one that we have. And I also want to say that initially I purchased, it was kind of the newest thing out there, and it was highly talked about. So I tried that one, and it was the masticating juicer, but it was in a vertical design. So it was smaller, say counties. I thought it would be great. I tried it out, and I did not like it because it's still with that vertical design, it really would clog up with the pulp. So it was a pain in the butt. I was digging pulp out of it all the time. So I returned it, and this is the one that we have now. This is an Omega, what's the number on there?
NC800 HDS.
Yeah. So you can see from the picture on this how it's horizontal chute. So your fruits and vegetables go in here, and then the pulp comes out the end, the juice comes out the bottom.
Yeah.
So a really good one. It's worked great for us, and I love it. I don't remember the price on that. I think maybe around $300 normally, and we got it on sale. So
I mean, so it is an investment in itself, and you have to be in a position where you already have this integrated into your lifestyle. You know, I wouldn't recommend someone who hasn't juiced before to go out and buy something like that, because you're probably going to use it once or twice and then be like, oh, this is so much work.
And it sits on your shelf.
So
yeah.
What you could do is you could go, like what we were doing is before we got there, we were going to a local juice store just up the road from us. And we were ordering what's in this anyway. But it worked out to be, it's expensive when you do that on a regular basis, like every day. So if you're just doing it once a week.
For two people, like we were, you know, in less than a week's time, we'd spend like $100 in juices. So
if you're just doing
2 weeks, we bought our own.
I mean, if you're just doing it once a week, then, you know, you could go there and start with that, get your foot in the water first, test it, see how you like it, integrate it in your life, use it on a weekly basis for a while, and then go out and get one when you're in a position where you know you're going to use it, and it's not just going to take up storage space in your kitchen and gather dust.
Right. That way you can try it out. You can test out some different flavors, and you can know if it's something that you really want to do long term, to invest that money and also to invest the time. That's another thing I want to say about this juicer. You know, juicers are infamous for being a pain in the ass to clean. This one is really not. Like, of course, you have to take the parts off, but it's all horizontal, so it just comes right off, and then you just wash. And it's really, really simple. I don't put it in the dishwasher. Some pieces may be able to, but I just want for the keep be on the safe side, I just hand wash it, and it takes no time at all. It's nothing that's like intricate to try and like clean out. So that one is really good for cleaning as well. So we're getting close. Let me just touch on one more question before we kind of go into one last topic. Should I put the peels into my juicer? So, when you're juicing like lemons or apples or things like that, do you put the whole thing in there? And that kind of depends. First of all, it depends on, which juicer you have. If you have a heavier duty juicer, they can handle a little bit more. You don't have to cut things down as much, and it can handle some of the peels and things. Some of the cheaper juicers may just kind of clog it up or back it up or whatever the case may be. And then the other important thing to remember is whether or not you're buying organic. Because if you're buying organic, then it's okay to throw a lemon peel in there, or limes and things like that, or cucumbers with the cucumber skin. But if you're not buying organic, if you're getting like your produce from a traditional grocery store and your cucumber has all that wax on it, then just peel that off first and then just put the rest of it inside.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think if you can buy what you can organic, especially buy they're going to be eating, like berries and things like that can get a lot of pesticides and things on them, and it's directly on the skin of the fruit that you're eating, then I try to buy those organic. You can save on other things like oranges, where you're going to take the peel off to eat an orange. So that's where you can save your money. All right, and then lastly, I just want to touch on, since it's cold and flu season, and you've already heard Fraser coughing, and
I've had it for the last week, so I've been trying to.
He's kind of had a cold off and on, but the good thing is, both he and I, the last time that I started to come down with a cold, we had to be traveling in like 2 days, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to get sick when we're going to this event, and I'm supposed to have a good time. So I started on these green juices, and I was drinking at least this big 32-ounce jar every single day, and it really knocked my cold out, and I was feeling much better. I was able to go on our trip without any problems. And normally, you can ask Fraser, if I get sick, like once it really hits me, then I'm out for a while, and it takes a while for me to come back from it. So for this to have worked as well as it did is, really something to me. And Fraser's the same way. He's had a bit of a cough, a little stuffy nose here and there this past week. But same thing, we've been trying to pump him with these juices, and it hasn't really knocked him down. Like, he hasn't had to like be sick in bed, even though he might have.
I definitely feel like adding this in, adding those extra vitamins and minerals in, has helped hold off a lot of what it would have done to me. And especially when I get sick, my appetite gets really bad. Like, I don't get hungry. I have to basically force feed myself. So because of that, because your appetite is so low, you either grab junk food, which is completely void of nutrients, void of vitamins and minerals, or you just don't eat. And then you lack more vitamins and minerals, so the sickness just really sets in, and it just pummels you down. So this, especially during the change of season, right at the beginning of the year, when it changes from winter through spring, and then what is it? Right now, so right now, those 2 points, we really want to have something like what Lauren's going to give you, the recipe, the breakdown of it.
Yeah, so I'm really bad about measuring things. I just kind of throw things together. But the key ingredients to these green juices that we use if we're starting to get sick, and that we really use on almost a daily basis, spinach, the baby spinach, kale, and you can either use like the packaged kale that comes in big tubs, because that's kind of easy. It's usually a kale blend of like baby kales. But what I really like the best is the dark leafy green kale. So spinach, kale, what else do we have in there? Cucumber, and then probably parsley. Probably the 2 most important things, lemon and ginger. So really increase your lemon and ginger. Even, from our regular recipe that we might make this, if we're starting to feel kind of sick, will really ramp up the lemon and especially the ginger in these. It has really powerful effects.
And you have to use a lot of ingredients to get this much juice. I mean, you really have to use a lot. So if you was going to use something like a NutriBullet and you wanted tangible measurements for something in here, I would say it would be like, you know, half a cucumber, even a couple of florets of broccoli, even a small handful of spinach, a small handful of the kale mix, half a lemon, half a lime, and maybe how much ginger? Maybe
like a centimeter size.
Maybe like half an
small.
inch or something, half an inch cube. Put that in there and blend that up. If you were going to do it in a larger jar, I would just buy big tubs of everything, keep adding it in, mix it all together, and kind of taste test it as you go to get the right taste for you, and then basically just fill up as many jars as you can.
Yeah, and we say the tubs, we mean like you can find them in your salad section. It comes in like a little plastic tub.
Yeah.
So those are, I mean, those are really cheap. Those are like $3 to $5 for a tub full of spinach and kale and stuff.
Yeah. So do you want to tell them what you put in this one as well?
That's just a blend that I used up some leftover stuff. So this is so pink because it has beets in it. It has beets, pineapple, lemon, and carrot, I think. So this is like pretty much all sugar, which is why like I wouldn't drink a whole jar of this. Like this little bit of juice I will spread over a couple of days.
And remember, the color tells you a lot about the nutrient properties of what you're drinking. So, you know, from bright red, and the darker the colors get, the higher in the antioxidants levels there is. So like with red, that, you know, there's a lot of antioxidant properties in that which will help reduce down, you know, cellular aging in your body and stuff like that. So, you know, having a good mix of these two is always going to be beneficial in my mind.
Yeah, don't stress over like making pretty colors, because I picked these two out because they would look good on camera.
Some of them look brown.
I also have another bottle in the refrigerator that looks brown.
And it might be a mixture of these two.
Right. So it has some fruit and it has lots of greens in it as well. And it comes out kind of purple, kind of brown. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters how good it is for you.
Yeah.
So to wrap up tonight, I did want to offer to all of you guys who are listening or watching, we're going to offer a hormone analysis for you guys. If you're attempting weight loss with these juices and things, it's really important, and kind of our main specialty and focus in achieving weight loss for people who have really struggled in the past is by dialing in those hormones and really, you know, digging in deep and seeing what you might have going on in a hormonal level that's halting, you know, or plateauing your fat loss. So that's our specialty, and we want to offer that to you guys. We're going to do a hormone analysis, and I'll give you the website. See if I can write it down here.
Hopefully it's not backwards.
I'll read it.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially you're just going to go through, it's going to take you through a survey, completely confidential. We only get to see it. We ask you a series of questions, and you basically fill out each question. We get that web form back, and then we can contact you and email you the results of what we believe are some of your challenges and some of the things that you need to focus on based on these very strategic questions that cue us in exactly what type of hormonal challenges you're probably facing. And this relates to fat loss, aging, your sleep quality, your energy levels, where you store your body fat, your skin quality, your hair quality, your ability to get pregnant, everything. So hormones control all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I know Fraser doesn't have much room over here, but it's hormones.baileybodylive.com. So baileybodylive.com is where you're watching this video right now. Do hormones dot in front of that. So hormones.baileybodylive.com. And that will bring you to the hormone analysis survey. Fill that out. When you click submit, it's going to take you to a page where you can schedule a 20-minute complimentary assessment through that with Fraser. So that way you fill out the survey ahead of time. We'll get it. Fraser will review it and look at it before you actually get on the phone call with him. So that way he knows what you're dealing with, and he knows how to help you to kind of set up an action plan specific for your hormones.
And just tie it into the last thing here. Say, for example, you were having challenges, you know, you were insulin resistant and you weren't losing body fat no matter what you tried, and you were doing this first thing in the morning. might be something in the hormonal analysis that I would say, look, do this after your workout instead. So instead of doing this first thing in the morning, shift that there, put that here. And that could be something as simple as that. Very often we like to overcomplicate the problems and think that they're this huge overwhelming obstacle that we can never conquer. But very often it's just a matter of shifting things around, playing with where things should be, and all of a sudden everything just clicks into place and you just start feeling so much better because your blood sugar levels are balanced and your hormonal status starts shifting in a positive direction. So
right.
That was it, really.
Yep, so that's it. We're just a little bit over on time, so we'll go ahead and stop this for tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday night, same time, same place, 7 o'clock Central Time.
With a new topic.
With a new topic, BayleyBodyLive.com. If you have any ideas of what you would like to hear us talk about next and questions about anything, send an email to info@thebaileybody.com. And again, if you want to do that hormone analysis, go to hormones.baileybodylive.com. Just fill out the survey there and hit submit when you're done.
Right.
All right, guys. It was good hanging out with you again. We'll see you in a week. Bye. Have a great night.
Bye.